Next, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at base pieces and adding in base pieces. And so here's this, by doing things in base 5 or base 8 or base 3, it really forces you to think about the process that we go through when we do our algorithm, especially our regrouping. And so if we just did this in base 10, it's been so ingrained into you that you don't always maybe realize why you're doing the steps that you're doing. And so by trying it with base pieces, it forces you to really think about the mathematics involved. So let's say we had 2, 4 base 5 and 2, 1 base 5, and we wanted to add those. All right, so I'm going to do the first few modeling with base pieces. So remember, these were our units, these are the little squares, these are our longs, and then the next one would be our flats. Okay? So in base 5, these are worth 1. All right, so that would be like 5 to the 0 power. So let's draw them again here. These are worth 1, which is 5 to the 0. These are worth 5, which is 5 to the first. Just like in base 10, we have, as we move, the position matters. And then here we would have, this is worth 25, which is 5 to the second. Okay? So in base 5, we can go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 before we have to regroup. And once we get to a grouping of 5, we want to move over to minimize the number of pieces that we have. So when I look at this, 2, 4 plus 2, 1, what that means is I've got 2 longs here and 4 little squares. And here I have 2 longs and 1 little square. Okay, and so now when I add those, I'm going to put those together. Well, I notice right away, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got a grouping of 5, so what that means is those are all going to regroup and become the next size over, which is a long. Okay, so I'm going to have no more single units because there's nothing left. Well, by doing that, now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 longs. So all of those are going to regroup and move over, and they're going to become a flat. So my answer is actually 1 flat, no longs, no single units, base 5. So 1, 0, 0, base 5. Okay. Let's try another one. Let's go 3, 1, base 5. And let's go 2, no, let's go 3, 4, base 5. Okay? All right, so again, same thing. We're going to draw what the pieces look like. So I've got 3 longs, 1 unit. Here I've got 3 longs and 4 units. Oh, I wanted this to be different. Okay, we're going to change this to a 2 real quick. Here we go. There we are. All right. So you have 3, 2, so 3 longs and 2 units, and then 3, 4, which are 3 longs and 4 units. And so I'm going to put those together. So by putting them together, I'm trying to regroup so that I have minimal pieces. So what I mean by that is every time I see a group of 5, I've got to move over to the next biggest size. So I'm going to start with the units, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are going to get grouped together, and they're going to move over and become a long. Okay? Now in my longs, so I'm left with just a single unit. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well I can't have that many in 5, base 5. They don't know what a 7 looks like. They only know up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This all gets regrouped and becomes the next unit over, which is a flat. And I'm left with 2 longs and 1 flat. So my answer would be 1, 2, 1, base 5. Okay? So again, once you've drawn the pieces, then it's just a matter of creating groups of 5. All right, let's try. like 2, 3, 2 base 5, along with 1, 3, 2 base 5. Let's try that one first. Okay, so we're going to draw these out. So I've got 2 flats, 3 longs, and 2 units from up here. Okay. Now we're going to draw this one. We're going to get 1 flat, 3 longs also. And you guys don't have to draw them. You can just use your base pieces. And then 2 little guys. Okay. So when I look at the units, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, there's no grouping of 5 there, so I'm just going to leave that as 4. Here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a grouping of 5. So that's going to come over here and become a flat. And that leaves me with just 1 long left. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those don't need to get regrouped. So my answer is 4, 1, 4, base 5. All right, let's try one more of these. What if you went 2, 3, 4. The thing about base 5 is you don't have a lot of choices for your dishes. And 3, 2, 4, base 5. Okay, first thing, either using your base pieces, represent these, or draw them out. I'm going to draw mine. So I have 2 flats, 3 longs, 4 units. Okay? You can see that my units start to lose their shape. Okay, here I'm going to do 3 flats, 2 longs, and 4 units also. Okay. Now, imagine putting all those together, and now you're sorting. So every time you get to a grouping of 5, it becomes, you regroup into the next piece. So these 5 right here are going to go away, and they're going to get replaced with a long. All right. And now when I look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are going to go away, and they're also going to get replaced, but this time with a flat. And now when I look at my flats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're going to get regrouped, and they're going to be called what that really big one is. Remember the long flat? So we're going to have 1 long flat, 1 flat, 1 long, and 3 units. And that is our answer, 1, 1, 1, 3, base 5. Okay? All right, now let's see if we went back to the beginning when we were looking at the different algorithms. What if, instead of using the base pieces, we used either the standard algorithm or one of the alternatives, the scratch method, the partial sum, or the lattice. So let's say we had 1, 3, and 2, 4 base 5. Okay. All right, so we have to think about what this looks like. So let's do the partial sum. So 3 plus 4 is 7 in our head, right? Well, that's what we're thinking, 7. But we need to think about it in terms of 5. So it's one group of 5 with 2 left over. Okay, so 3 plus 4, I would have a group of 5, and once I got to that grouping of 5, I'd have 2 left over. All right? So if you drew it, if you don't believe me, here's our grouping of 5 and 2 left over. Okay? Now let's look at our tens units. 1 plus 2, well, that's just 3. I don't have to worry about that, but that's in the tens units, so that's 3 with no units. So 3 longs, no units. And so now when I add those together, I get 4 to base 5. Okay. Let's try this same problem. We know the answer is 1, 1, 1, 3. Let's see if we can do it with a standard one of the algorithms. Okay, I'm going to use the partial sum one again. So, 4 plus 4, well, that's 8, but let's think about it in groups of 5. So that would mean I'd have one group of 5 with 3 left over. Okay, I got to 5, and then it went over 3. I kind of think of it like almost like an odometer. Once you get, it circles around and it comes up to 9, it moves over to the next digit. So it moved over to the 1s, and now we've got 3 cycling through again. All right, so 3 plus 2, well, that's just one group of 5. But notice its position, it's in the long, so I have 1 long and no units. And then the same thing here. I have 2 flats and another flat, 3 flats. So that is a grouping of 5. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. So 3 plus 2, that would have had to go over 1. Because that would have regrouped into a flat. So I had to move it over to a place value. So that was a grouping of flats, no longs, no units. Same thing here. These are my flats. I've got a group of 5 of them, which means it's got to go to the next place over, so there'd be 1 in there, no flats, no longs, no units. So we would get 3, 1, 1, 1, just like we did here. Okay, let's see if I can do one more without making that same mistake again. What if we did 2, 1, 4 base 5, and 3, 3, 2. Okay. All right, so one more time. 4 and 2, it'd be one group of 5 with 1 left over. Okay, so it'd be 6, which is a group of 5 with 1 left over, so a long and a unit. 1 plus 3 is just 4. I don't have to regroup that. It's 4 what? It's 4 longs, no units. Then over here, 2 plus 3, well, I do need to regroup that. That would be a total of 5 flats, which means I need to go over to the next place value. So it would be no flats. It'd be 1 long flat, no longs, no units. And my answer would be, oh, look here. I got to regroup again. So I have 5 longs here, which means I'm going to have no longs and 1 flat. Those are going to regroup into the next size over. Okay, base 5. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter what base we're in. This idea of once you get to whatever grouping your base is, you carry over to the next, like for us, once we get to 10, we carry over. It works no matter what. So let's say we were in base 8. So we had 1, 6, base 8, and then 5, 5, base 8. So remember now, instead of thinking of groups of 10 or groups of 5, we want to think of groups of 8. So 6 plus 5, how many groups of 8 is that, and how many left over? Well, it's one group of 8 with 3 left over. Okay. How about here? 1 and 5, well, that's just 6. I didn't get to any groups of 8, and there's no units. It's 6 long. Okay. So now I've got 3, 7, and I'm finished. Okay. All right, let's try one more. This is the last one. So hopefully you're doing these along with me. So you try them, maybe watch me, then try it again, see if you get the same answer. Let's go 4, 6, 5, base 8. There's lots more options with base 8, it's nice. And let's go 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so when we look at this again, 5 and 4, 9, so how many groups of 8 is that? It's one group of 8 with how many left over? 1. So it's one group of 8 with 1 left over. Okay. Now we're going to look here. 6 and 3. Well, that's also 9, but you have to pay attention to your place values. We're in the long, so it's 8 longs, which moves over to the flat, so it's a bigger group of 8 with 1 long left over. And then 4 and 2 is 6, and I don't have to do any regrouping there. And so now when I add, I get 1, 2, 7, base 8. Okay. So you could actually do this with your base pieces, just instead of thinking of these as being worth 5, they'd be worth 8. These would still be worth 1, and then these would be 8 squared, or 64. Okay, so if that's easier for you to do, maybe try it with the base pieces. We will be working with base pieces when we do subtraction and multiplication, well, subtraction also, so you will get more practice with this. Okay.